Good morning, friends, wherever you are. This is Ben Ochart, and welcome to today's Cichlids and Coffee. And wherever you are, I hope you're having a nice cup of Joe. This morning, I'm having mine in a cup from the Aquarium Co-op. There you go, Aquarium Co-op. Thank you, Corey, Zenzo, and the team over there. And if I can get a quick video and sound check from you folks, that would be great. Let me know how it's coming through. And I thank those of you who arrived early and on time. Let's wait for a few more to get on here. I see you're sharing the weather report. So it's going to be hot and humid here in Nashville. And not too bad, though. The evenings and mornings are real nice. So, hey, Vlad over in Romania. Hello, Vlad. Glad you're here, buddy. Z-Zip is here. Chris G, Michael. Let's see. Hey, John. Glad you made it, buddy. And boy, I can't pronounce this. Blazek. Good afternoon, everyone from Poland. Wow, we're getting folks from all over the world. That's so cool. Excited about today's live stream from Trenton, W. All right. More folks are getting on. Hey, Chase Dow is here. And looking at folks jumping on, and it's great. Great group of people. We do have a great group that usually sits in on these. I enjoy delivering the live stream, and I also enjoy watching the conversations that you folks get into with each other. That can that's entertaining me probably as much as you're getting entertained. Just a very quick announcement for those of you who have been waiting for your food, the Sarah food and stickers. Last week, nothing went out. As it turned out, I had my wife was under the weather, and then my son arrived from out of town, and he was under the weather. Then my wife tested positive for COVID, and then I tested positive for COVID. So it's been a very interesting week here at the house, and I had taken a very hard bike ride and then stayed up very late at night, cutting out the back of the tank and doing plumbing. So I was already beat up physically, and so I woke up in the morning and it felt like I had been the punching bag for Tyson. So, but for me, I thought, well, you know what? I'm probably just really sore because I overexerted myself between the bike ride and handling these heavy power tools late into the evening, and so I thought I was just sore. But then when I tested positive. So, and it hasn't been that bad. I've been a little tired. No real heavy congestion, fever, nothing like that necessarily. I've been able to function, but if I push myself too hard, I will get lightheaded. So I'm taking it slow. I'm taking it easy. And if I get a little lightheaded during this live stream and I tilt over, just go ahead and call 911. I don't think that's going to happen, but just so you know. So I had a visit from Jerry. Jerry's Fish Room. If you don't know Jerry's Fish Room, check him out. He's a moderator on the channel. He may be here or might not be here. He's on vacation. But he came by, and I stood at the top of the stairs, and he came in the garage and walked around, and we were going to do the live stream together today, and needless to say, the best laid plans. So I didn't want to contaminate him and his wife, Janice. So he just came by, did a little video of the fish room with me maintaining a good distance, and but we'll do something. We'll do a collaboration in the future, I'm sure. We can work together. He brought me a real nice coffee mug and with his channel logo and a real nice t-shirt. Here's the t-shirt. And the back says, keep loving the fish. Very nice. A couple of red tiger Oscars on it. A couple of my favorite fish. And very nice. Thank you so much for that, Cherry. And again, I'm sorry that we couldn't pull off our live stream together. So let's see. More people are jumping on. I'm liking it. Hey, our Baglio's here. Shannon King and Peas and Haps. And let's see here. Gia Aquatic and Pets. All right, let's see here. Trenton, look like you're running into some COVID stuff too. Yeah, it's you know, I thought I had somehow, you know, skipped, you know, avoided the bullet. I'd gone for 2 years with nothing. And I'll be honest with you, and I'm not saying this to brag or anything, knock on wood. I can't remember the last time I was sick. So this was kind of a little bit of a surprise. But all things considered and compared to some of the stories I've heard, I feel fortunate in the way it's occurring with me. So my wife has been you know, laid up a bit, but now she's back to working and taking naps between students. She's an online tutor, so she's getting through it too. So my son, who arrived with some flu symptoms, tested negative, so I can't say he brought it with him. And the plus point, I guess, is that we'll have the antibodies now, so we'll have some natural immunity, and that'll be good. So, all right. So I'm assuming that since no one's complaining, I'm assuming the audio and the video are fine, and I think you'd be telling me if it wasn't. And Chris, I will. I'm going to take it slow. I'm going to take it easy. You know, I make the mistake of hey man, let's just power through it. You know, I think it's from those years of playing football and stuff. It's, you know, your hands are your fingers dangling by a thread, and you just, you know, kind of pop it back in place and get back in the game. You know, put your eye back in the socket. You know, get back in there. You know, that's the kind of world I grew up in, right? And but sometimes it really is better just to chill for a little bit, and I think that's what I'm gonna do with this one. So let's go ahead and we've got over 70 folks on the stream. Let's go ahead and do the official start and shout outs, and let's go ahead and do that. If you're new to the channel and you like to learn about fish and be part of a great community, consider hitting that sub button and the bell, the thumbs up, and let YouTube know that something good is going on. And hey, we broke 50. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm already thinking 50. We broke 45,000. Thank you, everybody that subscribed, and all of you who have been subscribed. You folks pushed us over 45,000, and that's awesome. That's awesome. 45,000. That's awesome. I don't take it for granted for 1 second how awesome that is, and I'm really appreciative that you folks have done that. So let's go ahead and carry on there. And let's see here. A couple shout outs here. The big shout out to the Cichlid Shack, and assuming everything stays on track, I will be at the Cichlid Shack on June 4th. I will be doing the live stream from there, and then I'll be there from noon on, able to meet anyone who comes by, and maybe I'll bag up some fish for you. So that's the Cichlid Shack. Big shout out to James Largo, and he is a key sponsor. And don't forget that that Shack Attack 10 gives you 10% off on any purchase, and Shack Attack 15 gives you 15% off on fish for any order over $100, not counting shipping. He can't discount that. He just simply charges you what he charges, or what he gets charged, or you simply pay for it when you pick up the fish at the airport, like I do. So also a real big shout out to the Patreons, my Patreon members who are continuing to grow. And these are the Patreon, what I call my founding Patreon members. Thank you so much, my friends, for the support. And I was thinking to myself, well, what if I have to take a couple of weeks off and I can't produce any content? And I thought, it's like the Patreons are going to, it's their contribution, their help that's going to help me float financially. So you folks really, really play a much bigger role than I think you know. So thank you so much for that. And if you shop on Amazon, be sure to consider using my Amazon link to get to Amazon. If you use that link, anything you buy at Amazon gives a credit to the channel, even if it's not from my Amazon store. So you can use that link. It takes you to my Amazon store, but then from there you can hop off onto Amazon in general and do Amazon shopping. But because you arrive there because of my link, the channel gets a credit. So it's a very kind of a cool program, actually, when you think about it. And if you want to pick up t-shirts and mugs and all kinds of cool swag, consider the Teespring, visiting my Teespring link. It's under every one of my videos. You can see Teespring and pick up some mugs and t-shirts and tees, all kinds of cool stuff. So, all right, that pays the bills. Enough of the commercial nonsense. All right. Hey, peas and haps. Here's for the African Cichlid 300 Fund. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Very appreciated. So I made a video for you folks. I like making these little videos that I can play during the live stream, and I made one for you. And M&C Aquatics, where did you get the lids you use? Now, M&C, I need you to tell me what kind of lids. And hi, Sonny. Thank you. I'm glad you love the channel. Which lids do you mean? I have glass lids on the 210. I have what are called condensation, like condensation covers on the 255s behind me and on the 8-gallon and the 29. And then I have a big piece of polycarbonate on top of the 90-gallon. So I have a whole variety of lids going on here. So just tell me what lids you're talking about, and I'll try and get you an answer. All right. So I have a video, and I'm going to talk to you about my favorite fish. Now, it's always very difficult for me because I do what I do because I love fish. It's like I imagine it'd be the same thing if you're a dog lover. I mean, which I also happen to be a dog lover, and someone said, okay, look, what's the number one all-time dog? I guess it'd be easier to pick maybe a dog because of maybe a dog that you've owned or something. In my case, of course, beagles are just, I think they're awesome. But I also love my one of my sons has a lab, and that dog is unbelievable. So, and I love that dog. But with fish, it's really hard for me to just go, well, okay, this is the one. This is the one fish. And if I was going to only have one more fish my whole life, it'll be this fish here. Now, it's really, it's a real hard, actually impossible question for me to answer. And and so I would, I usually end up giving an answer that is very varied. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ramp up. I'm going to give you, now, let me preface by saying this. I'm crazy about all of these fish. And I know they're listening, and I don't want to hurt their feelings. I really love all these fish. And so I put together like some runners up and some really top guys, and then the top three. Now, that can change. Next week, that can be different. So, well, let's go ahead and jump into that. And to answer your question, M&C, if you go on eBay and you just do you just Google, if you just Google, do a general Google, but I think eBay had the best price, even though I list them at my Amazon store. Check my Amazon store first, and then compare the price there to eBay. And if they're less expensive on eBay, get them on eBay. Get the closest size that you need, and realize that you can cut them to fit anything that you need. If you do cut the outside edge, it is going to bow. You are going to have some, and then you'll probably have to put a piece of polycarbonate just to help support it, which I had to do in the 55 behind me, because I cut out the back to accommodate the HOB, the hang on back, right? So where I cut that groove out, it slopes down. So from the middle bar, from the middle support, I have a little polycarbonate piece there, and it kind of holds that up nicely. So, but they're relatively inexpensive. They're very flexible. You can cut little feeding holes in them, and that way you don't have to mess with them every time you feed. You don't have to be moving them. You just cut a little hole that the fish can't jump through, and you just sprinkle a little bit in there. And I'll tell you something, when you remove them, they pour back into the tank a tremendous amount of water. So they are stopping a lot of condensation. So you'll notice, if you're having some evaporation issues, you'll notice immediately that your tank water line is not dropping anywhere nearly as fast as it was before. So you'll like that a lot. So yeah, Amber Key, we're we're kindred spirits, Amber Key and me. Amber Key and I. Yeah, fish lovers and dog lovers, yeah. I used to have cats, but I kind of like the not ragging on cats, but I just like the attitude of a dog. I mean, my dogs are always crazy to see me, and so are my fish. So the cats, they would ignore me until it was time to eat. So, all right. So let's go ahead and start that video. I'll share it with you, and you tell me what you think, and you can comment during the video in the chat, and of course, if you're watching this on the replay, you can comment under the video. And let me go ahead and cue it up for you. Here you go. Well, it started with a visit to the fish room by Jerry Martin and his wife Janice. We were supposed to be doing the live stream together today, but because I had tested positive to COVID, we decided it wasn't a good idea. Be sure to visit his channel, Jerry's Fish Room. And while here, he asked me a question, which is your favorite cichlid? We talked at a distance for health safety reasons, but that question has always stumped me. But I've come up with some runner-ups and some finalists and a top 3 for you. I've got to include viejas in here, and I have 2 varieties right now, and they're both just big water pups. They remind me a little bit of the way people describe their Oscars. They interact, they look at you, they like looking at you, and this Sonatus is very interactive and just a very cool fish. They all seem to have a similarity in markings, but also a very uniqueness. So it's like you can't really get 2 that are exactly the same. Now, contrary to that, a red-spotted Severum, once you've seen one, you've probably seen them all, but they are very special fish. And in the family of Severums, I've had a limited number, but the red-spotteds have got to be up there as my favorite. Nicaragua, beautiful coloration. A bit of a jerk though, but still a very, very special fish. Green tears. Man, oh man, I love green tears. And this one from Brandon is starting to show some great colors despite still being very, very young. Who would have thought I'd be crazy about bettas? This is Mr. Mustard, mustard gas blue betta. And I'm just getting just a lot of fun, a lot of joy out of that fish. You folks know when I'm filming my tanks, I always get sort of stopped by the chocolates. They're always, they always look different. This is a cichlid from, I believe, from Mexico. And they're always like a purple, green, or, you know, they go dark, they go very, very light. I mean, you can see even the two of them here have different coloration. Look at the orange and red in the eyes. Very interactive. They jump up and eat out of my hands, have little trailers on the fins. Very pretty. I'm also getting a tremendous amount of joy these days out of the community tank, in particular the rummy noses, who love to play in the bubbles, by the way. I love the way they school, and just the markings on the body, the bright Rudolph nose in front, and the taxi stripe tail. I mean, they're just a very unique and very cute fish, very, very, very peaceful. And the truth is, I'm enjoying everything in here, from the plants to the cardinals to that little pagoda snail that's in there somewhere, the lemon tetras, the serpas. I mean, all the fish in here are just a lot of fun to just watch how they dart around and assert themselves. Look at those lemons. They're turning into like hatchet fish. They're getting really big and like silver dollars and becoming more and more lemon colored. Very pretty. Geophagus in general, I think, are just amazing, but these redhead tapajos, look at the markings they're starting to get on the fins. Just absolutely beautiful, and they take on a pretty good size, so I'm really looking forward to watching them continue to grow and mature. And what can I say about this Jack Dempsey? I mean, this Jack Dempsey is just really belongs in the top 5 of my favorite fish. And again, every time I look at him, he's got a different color display. He'll go very light, very dark. Sometimes his body will go almost all black. Other times, his body will look like a constellation of stars. I mean, he just gets all these beautiful markings, little like neon dots on his body. And again, a very young fish, just a very, very young fish. She's barely coming along, and with regards to size and color. But look at that, like a galaxy. Very, very pretty. Now we're starting to get into the top fish, and we got to start off here with this tangerine tiger, which, as far as tangerine tigers go, and I've owned a lot of them, I've got to hand it to the Cichlid Shack. I mean, this is just an incredible specimen. The deep sort of orange in the body, the orange yellow, the red in the anal fin, the beautiful blue. I mean, it's just a great tangerine tiger. If you've ever owned a sand diver, they go from gray to this metallic, this sort of metallic color that's almost hard to capture on camera. But this one has started to actually color up and is just a showstopper. Just a beautiful combination of metallics, blues, and greens, and definitely in the top, at the top of my list for fish. And what can you say about a Malawi trout? I mean, they're just big giant beasts. Relatively peaceful. I mean, I've heard some folks have had ones that could be a little bit aggressive. This guy just likes to kind of hang out and lumber around, and probably doesn't even realize how huge he is. But the markings on the body, the giant tail, ultimately the size they put on, we're talking 14, 15 inches. Look at that Panusis. He should be on the list too, really. Beautiful blaze on the forehead. If you've been following my channel for years, you know that I love Autopharynx tetrastigmas, and this one has been with me a while, and he's been getting into it a little bit with the Livingstoni, asserting dominance. Surprisingly, he's been the boss on and off, but he's just a beautiful specimen, and just as a fish in general, Autopharynx tetrastigmas are definitely one of my favorites. I mean, what can you say about a hawk? And now we're getting into fish that I like a lot because they're so unique and different, and a hawk fits that category. The way they tilt on their side to look down at things, and that little mustache over the top of their mouth, that slanting forehead. Just a very unique kind of fish, and because of that, definitely near the top of my list. Even more unique, look at the mouth on this fish. This is, of course, a gar, and this gar is again, an exceptional specimen from the cichlid shack, both in shape and color. Beautiful markings, red in the anal fin, the beautiful blue face, and those lips that are just amazing. Designed for capturing prey from between rocks, usually fry. Out in the wild, they'll get fry hiding between rocks with those lips, and they'll go on their side and slip between rocks. It's pretty interesting to watch. I've seen him try and do that in the tank, get on his side to get into areas between rocks. Very, very cool fish, certainly near the very top of the list. And surprisingly, here I am, Mr. African Cichlid, but yet at the very top of the list, I've got to put Salvini. This guy is, or in this case, this gal, is just amazing. The coloration, the combination of black, red, yellow, with blue specks in the body. Attitude for days. Just an amazing fish, a Salvini, and I'm just looking forward to watching this fish continue to put on size and continue to shine. I got lucky with this one. Females have the red bellies, and this one is just exceptional. So those are my top fish. What do you think? Do you think I missed one? Should I have included one in the list that I didn't? You tell me in the comments below. Well, there you go. Short and sweet. Maybe that surprised some of you. You probably didn't think the number one would be the Salvini, and as I've said on these kinds of lists before, this could change between now and the end of this live stream. Only because I like so many of them, and you know, sometimes these fish all of a sudden, like overnight, one of them will blossom on you. That's what happened with that sand diver. He was kind of gray when I went to bed, and I was thinking, I wonder if he's ever going to color up. And the next morning, he had this blue metallic, sort of like someone had spray painted him, like someone had come by and spray painted him in the tank at night. Hey, Elizabeth Wagner. Elizabeth Wagner's in the house, and Lenny's here. Hey, Joe. Joe's here, and let's see, Cat Sailor. Good to see you. Twisted Bib. What a wild name, Twisted Bib. What is the first one you showed? I believe that you're talking about the Vieja. The Viejas, my two varieties of Viejas. They can get very, very big. Chris is happy that Sal won. In the genes, if I had Mbuna, they'd be on the list, just like if I had Discus, they'd be on the list. And if I had Guppies, they'd be on the list, but just not a fish I have right now. But when I used to have Mbuna, man, I loved my yellow lab. He was a character. total character. And my yellowtail, I had a blue yellowtail Mabuna. Very cool fish. Very cool fish. I also had a Pseudotrophus, a beautiful fish, Mapanga. Oh man, but he was a handful. Oh my goodness. He wouldn't let anybody eat. He would clear out the whole tank, and then he would eat, and when he was done, then he'd go aside and everybody else could eat. It was crazy. Hey, somebody came in with a super chat. Trenton W. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Love those super chats. Very appreciative. KO knocked it out, I guess. I guess you like the list. Very, very cool. So let me take up some of your questions. And it's funny that you mentioned about the Mabuna. Somebody was, I think I was talking to Jerry about other kinds of fish, and you know, the fact that I keep a betta now, and I have a planted tank, and I have a community tank, and things like that. And something that, you know, something that came into the conversation were snakeskin guppies, and I like them. I like them. When I've seen them, I've been very impressed by them. I have an extra 29 gallon that's doing nothing right now, and I've got several sponge filters that I can float the sponges in the sump, get them all nice and bacteria rich, and maybe I'll end up doing a little planted snakeskin guppy tank, and then just let that thing run. Throw a couple cories in there, maybe a couple more pagoda, maybe a pagoda snail or two, or maybe a few assassin snails. Who knows? But just throw a bunch of plants in it and let it go to town. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So who knows? Who knows where I'm gonna end up? It's the beast that's right in front of me right now that's the big challenge, and it is, I mean, 7 feet across, right? What, over 2 feet from front to back? I mean, 300 gallons, and that's the beast I have to tame right now. It's the top of my list, while at the same time being able to, keep these tanks running the way they're supposed to be running. By the way, last night the living. Hey, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for that. A couple cobalt blue Mabuna, but the female not wanting much to do with him. Well, that is her prerogative. That's really her call. And sometimes, I mean, it's crazy when you're trying to pair up fish. I mean, sometimes they kill each other. I mean, so it's wild. It's a wild thing. So yeah, last night before I went to bed, the living stone eye and the Autopharynx tetrastigma were going at it. You saw a little glimpse of it in the video. And this morning, there's no wear and tear whatsoever on the Autopharynx. So I think he held his own. So that's good news. Chris G, 300 gallons will hold a lot of fish. Yeah. Can you imagine if I used it for guppies? How many guppies could I put in there? 3,000? 3,000 guppies and 1,000 cardinal tetras. Well, that'd be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? All right. So, Oscar Robles. Hey, Ben, what opinion do you have on peas and haps living in a 75-gallon long term? Well, I used to do that. You just have to be selective, and you've got to be quick to act. Quick to act if something starts. Because my experience was that the haps got very territorial, and they're very bulky. They're sort of built for battle. I mean, they're built to defend their caves, their territories. And so I would, if you're gonna have a Mabuna in there, but you're talking about peas and haps. I got sidetracked on the Mabuna. The peas and haps, if you select them right, like let's say in the hap category you have like a Z-Rock and maybe an autopharynx, tetrastigma. Some of the calmer, some of the more calmer haps that are known for being calmer. Maybe a turquoise hap, fish like that, and then a few peacocks. But again, keep an eye on it. It's been my experience that and this is anecdotal. It's what happened with me. Once the haps establish a pecking order, they settle down. But the peacocks don't. They're constantly, I don't know why, but and it's been my experience with my fish. They were just constantly trying to go after each other, and too often singling out another fish for destruction. So, like anything, keep an eye on it, and it'll work. It'll work until it doesn't work. Then you'll have to take action. You'll have to have a plan B, have a spare tank ready, and be ready to separate fish out if you have to. I mean, that kind of comes with the territory with keeping the African cichlids. And I've discovered even with the South Americans, I mean, you got to be willing to separate them out. I mean, that's why the Zonatus is living behind me here. He was just, now that being said, the Vieja that's in the 90 has put on a tremendous amount of size. So maybe I can put that Zonatus in there and he would play nice because he's no longer bigger and bulkier. Thank you, Peas and Haps Forever, for promoting the like button. I appreciate that. Hey, Mexicali Fish Keeper. And Sean, I got 9. If you ever come to New York, you can take one home. Sean, you teasing me again with those albino hecali? You're being cruel, my friend. You're just being cruel. For those of you that don't know, albino hecali are some of my favorite fish. Millie Bobby Brown. Hi, sir. You have giant... No, I don't have giant gouramis. No giant gouramis. If that question is intended for me. Why don't you try Tanganikins and trophies? I think they are awesome. They're beautiful. At the same time, I don't want to overextend myself. And there's still things, believe it or not, about African cichlids I don't quite understand. And there's certainly a lot about South Americans and Central Americans I need to learn. So even community tanks and planted tanks and betta. I mean, there's still a lot for me to get my wits around. And one of the things that I stress in a lot of my videos is not to get into too much and then it stops being fun. And that's certainly, with this 300 setup right now, I mean, I was even talking about getting some fish from James Largo and some additional fish that I was going to have to quarantine and then, put into the mix and hope that nothing goes wrong and that they get along. And I just told him, I said, I just sent him another text and said, hey, look, let's hold off. Let me come down to the shop. Let me do the tour and let me just keep working on this 300. And let me get that nailed, and then we'll talk about additional fish. So it's like, kind of pacing yourself correctly. So if you have any questions for me, go ahead and ask them. And I hope I caught every super chat there. I think I did say thank you, Elizabeth. And any other questions, go ahead and hit me. As I scan through the, that's right, Amber Key, always be learning. And the second you stop learning, we know what happens. Why don't you try? Let me see here. Twisted Bib says Millie Bobby Brown likes the Stranger Things. Not sure what you're talking about, but okay. Okay. So, what fish was missing from my list? Of the fish that I have, is there one that you're surprised was not at the top? And What fish do you think I'm missing right now? I know albino hecli, and what else? What else am I missing? Go ahead and comment. Chris G, man, you stop learning, I think you start dying. You know, I mean, the world's always changing. If you're not learning, you're getting stupid real fast. So you're right. You're right. You're never too old to learn. And the stupidest people I know are the ones who think they know it all. What is your favorite peacock species? My favorite peacock is... Boy, those favorite questions are hard. But I tell you, the one that came to my mind almost immediately was flavescent, followed very closely by ruby red. Rubens, ruby red, and a flavescent. Gia Aquatic and Pets needs a shout out? Oh, albino red empress, Bonnie the bunny. That is a beautiful fish. Albino red empress. The albino red empress and the albino Taiwan reef. Those two are gorgeous fish. And my only reluctance on them is that albinos, like OBs, right, like hybrids, sometimes can have a couple wires crossed, and can go a little, as my daughter says, cray cray, can go a little crazy. So that'd be my only reluctance. But yeah, beautiful fish. First of all, Eric, I'm surprised that you have Oscars and Africans together. Just shows how adaptable these fish are. 20 African cichlids and 3 Oscars in a 125. Is a FX6 enough? This is one of those questions that has a lot of moving parts, Eric. It depends on how often you're cleaning your FX6. How often you're vacuuming and water changing. If you're doing a water change and a good vacuuming, let's say, at least once a week, with the vacuuming and the water changes, and you're servicing your canister maybe with a pre-filter every 3 months, without a pre-filter every month, you should be fine, I think. And naturally, you should be testing your water parameters. That's a conclusion that with some test strips, you can kind of come to your own conclusion. Now, those fish are all big eaters, which means they're big waste producers. They're high protein eaters, which means they're ammonia factories. So some people will say feed them less, and but you really can't feed them less. Then their bellies get a little sunken. And now in those African cichlids, you have Mabuna, peacocks, and haps in there, all 3. And how many old school rules can we break in one? And tell me you've got a big angelfish in there too. Anyway, hey, if it's working, it's working. But yeah, I think an FX6, maintained with real good maintenance, you could pull it off. Me personally, I'd throw a good strong hang on back on there. Maybe even a second canister, but I don't know. Maybe a good hang on back, just for polishing, maybe. Throw even a marine land, that you can take the media out, rinse it, put it back in every week or so, just to do a little polishing for you. Why not? All right. I'm going through your questions here. That's why I'm staring down at the computer. Doesn't mean I'm trying to avoid your stare. Let's see here. Frank, sadly, yes, Elite Cichlids is gone. there was a death in the family, and I suggest you do a eBay or Amazon search for artificial and aquarium plants. You'll find some that are comparable. Somebody showed me some plants from Hobby Lobby, and they looked amazing. Now, are the aquariums safe? I guess would be my question. But are plants plants? I don't know. But maybe try them in a tank with one fish or something, see how the fish does. But man, there were some lush plants that looked similar. I mean, they didn't have that nice limestone base that elite cichlids would use, right? But they were like really lush and kind of like the ones you see here on the side of the 210. It looked exactly like that plant right there. And it was from Hobby Lobby. So maybe a little bit of super glue gel, put it down onto some a little piece of slate. If you have African cichlids, you can throw a little bit of limestone in there. It'll help with the buffering. And I was surprised. I was surprised at how good the plant looked. Hobby Lobby. Go figure. All right. Robert, I have a video. Maybe one of the one of the moderators can share the video with you. Robert Sowinski, off the subject. What advice do you have for somebody? Let me see. Who wants to start a YouTube channel? Yeah, I would go ahead and maybe someone can share that link with you where I talk about my advice on starting a YouTube channel. It's the first thing is just start throwing some videos up there. Don't get over concerned about quality in the beginning. In the beginning, just throw them out there, and then you'll start to get feedback, and you'll you've got audio, video, right? So the AV and L, the AVL is what they call audio, video, lighting. Those are your three key things: audio, video, lighting. In the very beginning, a lot of folks, all they have is ambient light and a cell phone. And a lot of big channels started with ambient light and a cell phone. That was it. So don't overthink it. Jump in, start. Don't try and be one of the bigger channels immediately, because you'll just get frustrated. And look at Jerry. Jerry's got great content. He's got beautiful tanks. His discus tank is amazing. He's got some amazing cichlids. And it's a runway. It's a runway. He's like trying to get up to 500 and trying to work his way up to 1,000 subscribers, and it's work. It's work. But he's having fun, and he's throwing them up there, and just have fun, enjoy yourself, and watch that video I put out, because I go into equipment, but mostly I go into attitude, because you'll get people that'll come along and will like your content and give you constructive criticism. That helps. And then you'll get people that'll jump on and they're just jerks. And probably the best advice I can give you, a brand new YouTubers, if somebody's a jerk, just go ahead and block them from your channel. Don't even waste energy on the jerks. And that really has worked for me. Let's see here. Someone's asking about using coral sticks as media. I imagine coral can be media. Major void in the hobby right now. Yeah, I miss them too, but Mom was the heart and soul of the business, I guess. And with Elite Cichlids, and when she passed, that was it. The husband and the son decided we're gonna go ahead and fold up, and so they were a florist shop that decided to pursue aquatic plants. They had a great eye. A great eye. Fast and Loud, Texas Cichlid, Aussie Red Top, Hongai Electric Blue, Ali Ice, Buna Electric Yellow, and Buna. Are those fish that you think I need? Or are those just your favorites? That's a cool list of fish. All right, let's see. Hey, someone hit me with a super chat. Thank you, Chris G. $5 so I can buy at least the tail fin on the inflation. You know, now we can put fish on layaway. You know, you can work out easy payment plans. Financing available. They should have that at the fish stores now. Financing available. And it looks like John shared the create your YouTube channel top 5 tips to get. Yeah, thank you, John. I appreciate that, buddy. By the way, Denny is back in Illinois, Dennis Riddell, at the graduation of one of his kids. So congratulations there, and we will see Denny next week. And as I mentioned, Jerry Martin is on vacation with his wife Janice, probably up in the Smoky Mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains somewhere. Mexicali Fish Keeper, that's how I started too. I just threw up some videos and people made some comments, then I started adding narration. And it was a while before I actually got in front of the camera. And it was IFG, I've told this story before. It was IFG who convinced me to get in front of the camera. Hey, when are we going to see your face, man? Twisted Bib, Super Red Bushy Nose is a very pretty type of pleco. Love that fish. I had one and unfortunately didn't make it. He was very teeny. He was about under a ½ inch and didn't make it. Agia, you want to grow a channel? You just have to you have to continue to put out content, and over time you have to understand your audience more and more. Listen to them. There's certainly things you can study. There are a lot of videos on YouTube on how to grow your channel. Some will apply to you and your niche, and some will not. The fish keeping community is a very unique community. This is a very small sort of sector. It's not like pop music or auto repair or hot rods or something. The market is very limited by comparison. It's still a great market, and you still have big YouTubers, right? There are YouTubers out there in the fish community that have over 1 million, over 500,000. You know, there are big YouTubers in our sector, but they are the exception. And where if you go into makeup, right? Makeup, fashion. I mean, there'll be thousands probably of people with 1 million subs. So realize that you're playing to a little bit of a tough crowd. And now, the flip side of that is that because of that, it's also a tight community. It's also a very cool community, and a lot of people are aware of all the big players, and there's just a great camaraderie that goes on. And so anyway, it's got its advantages, and but it's not something that happens overnight, that's for sure. Navaninta Prabhu throws a super chat into the mix. Thank you, my friend, and I hope I didn't butcher your name too badly. I mean, it's a beautiful name. Navanitha Prabhu. And hello, Croatia, SK, Croatia. You know, I want to go to Croatia. My son visited, says gorgeous, very affordable, and one of the best kept secrets in Europe. Fast and Loud. That could have been my nickname in middle school. Those are my favorites and all ones I have in my tank. Very, very cool. I get it. Thank you for that, Fast and Loud. Thank you for that clarification. One time I got a hold of I was at a parent-teacher conference as a child with my mom, and my records were laid out in front, and the vice principal had to leave for a second, and I happened to look over, and it said, makes too many animal noises. Apparently, every time the teacher would turn around, I'd make a sound of a chicken or a mule or a horse, and I got really good at it, and everybody laughed, and it was in my permanent school record. Oh, my goodness. Fast and loud, that was me. I was also a very fast runner, so I could have been fast and loud. All right. So, let's see here. When testing KH with API test drops, do you count the first drop? Keep getting different answers on YouTube. I am sorry, I can't. Can someone speak to that question? And I'll put it here at the top. And can someone answer that about KH? Because I don't know. I will say this. I needed to get some KH in this 210. And I put a bag of crushed coral. Now I already have aragonite, which is like almost the equivalent of crushed coral in that 210. But I put a bag of crushed coral underneath the socks in the sump, and my KH has gone up a bit and into a normal range, where before it was almost non-existent. So, can be very unstable. So anyway, if someone can answer that question on KH, please do. I have pinned it to the top. SK, Fouvel FX6, the best canister filter. Some would argue yes. Some would say yes until something breaks, and then you're going to be spending a lot of money on top of the money you already spent. My advice to people who own FX6s, and I have one running purring like a cat over here behind me. My advice is, well, I have two bits of advice. One, have spare parts, have a purge valve and one of the input-output valves, and have O-rings. So have those handy, somewhere where you get your hands on them real quick, in the event that you need them. And two, like I would recommend for every canister filter, have it in a Tupperware tray with a water sensor in case it ever does develop a leak. You can very quickly isolate it and fix it real quick. All that being said, they are battleships. They are truly, I mean, they're just big, well-made battleships. And after working on one, then you go and you work on a Sun. You're afraid you're going to crack the Sun. The Sun is much thinner. I mean, the Sun is like thick enough. It's just thick enough. Whereas the FX6, you feel like it's overbuilt, which is, I prefer that feeling. So now you're going to pay twice as much for that FX6. And when you got to replace a part, I mean, I had to get a purge valve one time, cost me $27. Talking a valve this big. So anyway, just things to keep in mind. All right, let's see here. Can somebody answer Elizabeth Wagner's question about adding mystery snails to a 55? First of all, doesn't that mean that you're going to end up? Doesn't that mean you're going to end up with like 1,000 mystery snails? I've got one mystery snail because I didn't want to end up, but you'll have a lot of them. I think they'll lay like 1,000 eggs, right? But if someone can answer Elizabeth's question, and we'll go ahead and unpin that last one, and someone can answer Elizabeth's question about mystery snails. If we have a mystery, do we have a mystery snail expert in the house? All right, let's see. Any more questions? SK, how to reduce noises in the FX6? The FX6 SK, the FX6 should be silent. There shouldn't be any noise. So I don't know. Now, what noises are you hearing? If you're hearing like a rattling or a buzz, it might mean that you need to service your impeller. That means you have to take apart the motor compartment and pull that big magnet out and really clean it out really well. And then be real careful to reassemble it exactly the way it goes. Maybe take photos or video as you disassemble it, or be watching a video on disassembling it as you do it, and then watch the video as you put it back together again, so that you put it together exactly right, making sure to tighten it down, but not tighten it down too much, because you've got metal screws on plastic and you can crack the plastic, but you have to be tight enough to prevent leaks. And there is a rubber gasket on that motor unit that if it's not in the right place, you're going to have a leak between the body and the motor. So it should be completely quiet, totally quiet. Well, Oscar, the one of those, Oscar's asking about salts, and one of them, I believe, is designed like your Fritz Plus is like an Epsom salt. It's like a salt, right? If I'm not mistaken. And the other one is trace minerals, a lot like your Seachem, like your Seachem Malawi Lake salt, right? Which is just trace minerals. It's not something that you would use to treat anything. So it would seem to me that it'd be okay to use them together. But one of the nice things about Fritz is you can just write to them directly or even call them and they'll tell you. But it would seem to me that the use of trace minerals, and I mean, you're talking like apples and oranges, it's different things. You got trace, and then you've got, however, I do suggest you fire an email or even phone, a quick call to Fritz. They're usually pretty responsive. All right, let's see here. Any other questions you want to throw at me before we wrap up? But SK, just to finish up on that, you should not have any noises on your FX6. One of the great things about that canister is that it runs absolutely silent, except when it's purging itself of air bubbles. I'm scanning your comments. Michael Lotanero, I've had 2 FX5s for over 20 years. Wow. That's the kind of stories you used to hear about the Eheim canisters. Oh, mine's been running 20 years, 30 years. Yeah, they're battleships. They're battleships. Cat Sailor, yes, mystery snails breed like rabbits. There's some clown loach out there licking his lips. Did someone say mystery snails? All right, let's see here. Well, there you go, Elizabeth. Your clown loaches, if you put a snail in there, well, you shouldn't have snails with, I mean, snails will get destroyed by cichlids. I mean, and I'm not sure if that's good for cichlids. They may be carrying certain viruses or things that might be harmful to cichlids. I wouldn't risk snails in a cichlid tank. Joe Cat in the house. Fritz Monster 360 or Sea Chem Pristine. I like Fritz, and I like Fritz Zyme 7. The nice thing about the Fritz Monster 360, however, is that it has a binding agent that will clear up your tank. So if you get that new tank algae bloom and it bothers you, that you're not going to get that with the Monster 360. It gives you a nice clear tank right away. Some people just say, look, let that bloom run its course. It's natural. It's a good thing. Your tank is coming alive. So just let it work itself out naturally. But some people don't like that look. They don't like the cloudiness. So they'll go ahead and use the 360. It's a good product. I use it. I also love Fritz Zyme. And I'll probably be using a little Fritz Zyme in the 300. I mean, I get overcautious, right? I bring over bacteria-rich substrate media, the seeded media, and I use Fritz Zyme. So I mean, I go overboard. So that's sort of how I roll, I guess. Dan, a stringy poop, I think is going to be, you're looking more, you could be looking more at a parasite issue possibly, but because the salt usually is for constipation, which means they're kind of fattened up because they're not passing, right? They're constipated. So that would be more it would be more for getting them going as opposed to, now, one of the things that came out in the Sarah interview, and if you want to share that, John or GP, if you want to share that Sarah interview link, they made a very interesting point. They said that the healthiest fish will drop, they drop their poops in little chunks, little chunks. That's how the poop is supposed to come out. It's not supposed to be these long, stuck together. When that happens, it means that they're not getting enough nutrients. They're actually pooping out some of the mucus that is in their intestines and stomach, and that's holding together the poop and giving you these long strings. And so you might also want to look at the food that you're using. Make sure that it is free of. Make sure there's no soy in there. Real small amount of whatever they're using as a binding agent. Grains, soy, very common. Any coloration. Just make sure it's all natural, good ingredients and high quality ingredients. And I've noticed since I've started using more Sarah that my fish are like that. They'll poop in just short, fat. And I know this is gross. I'm sorry. I hope you're not eating breakfast. Little chunks that fall off, and there's no real long, stringy poops. The only one that I just continue to have a bit of a battle with is the eye biter, and the eye biter who's been treated for parasites, eats like a pig, and continues to look like he's wasting away. I don't know what's going on with him, and he'll put out a stringy poop every now and then, and so we'll see. We'll see what's going to end up happening with him. He's just a very skinny fish that gets pushed around. Maybe after I decide what to do with Skittles, I'll put the eye biter in the 55 and just let him live alone for a while and see what happens. I read a very interesting article a while ago that apparently from a scientist who said that in 30 years or 20 or 30 years of studying fish and fish poop that he hadn't found parasites, that he thought the parasites was far less an issue than was being made of, and that in fact that there were other factors related to bloat or to stringy poops or caved in stomachs. There are other factors that were not being actually addressed, and that those were the real factors, that parasites were in fact more rare than people thought. I thought it was fascinating. All right. By the way, anybody who has received the Sarah food, please be sure to send me an email letting me know how your fish have taken to it. I will forward that email to Klaus over at Sarah, who loves to hear the feedback. And I have one last thing for you. I have a very nice combination of Sarah foods in a packet, a combination of that I will custom make for you. And I have various types of food to choose from. And here's who I'm going to send it to. I have a metal fish, a metal saltwater fish hanging in my garage. It's hanging above me from a chain right now. He's like a saltwater fish. And I've shown him in videos in the past. This is going to be a real fan loyalty check. So whoever can tell me the name of the metal fish that hangs in the center of my garage, I'm going to go ahead and send you out a custom Sarah packet. And so let's see if anybody can come up with it here in the chat. And I don't know. I don't think moderators you're not going to be able to participate because that's kind of, I don't know. It's almost like giving it to your own family. So if you're not a moderator, what's the name of the fish hanging in my fish room? Here, I'll show them to you. So what's the name of that fish? I gave him a name. And it's not his species name. It's not his name in the wild. It is a name, like Joe or Charlie. And you folks are coming up with some great names, some great guesses. Swimmy, Harold, oh, Roger, Ozzy, Baxter. I love that, Baxter. So if nobody guesses it on the chat, you can have a shot at it in the comments. First one that it appears in the comments. I have mentioned it in videos in the past. I have mentioned it. And Bubba, another great name, Doobie, Benny. That'd be confusing. Somebody would call the fish and I'd look around and go, what? Yeah. All right. So there's the game. There's the game. You may have to check out some of my older videos where I talk about them. When I was setting up the fish room, I showed him a few times and mentioned his name. Oh, wait. Dan Coat. Dan Coat. I think we have a winner. We have a winner. Winner chicken dinner. Dan, did you just guess that? Or did you remember? Yes, his name is Gil. His name is Gil. And He spells it with 2 L's, but that's okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to, Dan, send me your full name, mailing address, and I'm going to put together a packet for you. And let me know what kind of fish, again, and if you've done this before, and I'm sorry, I'm asking you again, but I don't keep that information. Definitely include the type of fish that you have, and I'll put together a special packet for you. Thank you for playing, my friend. And that's Gil. He is a mascot of my, it's funny, I have a saltwater fish as a mascot. So at any rate, folks, thank you so much for sitting in. I really appreciate you all. And thank you to all of my moderators. And thank you to the super chatters. Very, very appreciated your help. And I feel pretty good for having been sitting here and talking for over an hour. That's a good sign. And that's it from me, I guess. We'll go ahead and end off with that. And congratulations, Dan. Awesome. Awesome that you nailed that. And so we got up to about 116. Wow, that's good. Okay, folks. So I will see you folks next Saturday, this coming Saturday, same time. And look for me in the beginning of the new month over at the Cichlid Shack. I'll be visiting the shack. And I will be doing a collaboration with, we'll be doing something with Jerry's Fish Room. Sadly, I couldn't have him here this weekend because of the COVID issues, but we will be doing something, maybe using StreamYard, where you can actually get 2 people on and talk to each other. Maybe we'll do a StreamYard collaboration that way. So at any rate, thank you, everybody. You are appreciated. You are the best. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and end off this live stream. Thank you, folks. You are the best. Bye-bye.